When I was a kid, I rescued a dog, me and my brother. It was in a building site in a kind of place where we played. That was our playground. We took the dog back home. We called her Lady. And back in the day, you needed like a dog licence to own a dog, and they were 35p, and you got them from the post office. But we were poor. We didn't eat. Our parents were out all the time, or drunk, or high. So that was the last thing we were going to do. Anyway, there's a knock at the door, and it's a guy with a uniform on asking if my mum is in. And she is. She's in the back room where the fire is and the TV is, but we're not allowed in there. And she's still drunk from the night before. So there's no point in me saying yes. So I lie and say no. He comes in anyway, and he walks in on a scene. It was kind of a regular scene. We were across the road from a dodgy pub, and we were the party house. So people would leave the pub and come into our house and party till the early hours. So when we came down in the morning into the room where we were allowed in at the front of the house, there was syringes, bags of white powder, human substances, used condoms, cigarettes, half cans of lager. And my job, as an 8-year-old, my job was to clear the mess, clear the space, push it to the ends of the floor so that we could sit and have breakfast, which was a handful of broken biscuits from the box of broken biscuits that we got from the factory. And me and my brother, and later the babies, the 1-year-old, the 2-year-old, we'd all sit around, and that is what we ate. And that's what he walked into, only with Lady. He's cross. He had a look on his face that was like disgust, and he was angry, and he started talking about how we weren't fit to look after a dog, and we weren't taking care of the dog. And I tried to explain, we found her like this, we're taking care of her. He wouldn't have it. And then his mate came in with a stick with a hoop on and put the stick round Lady's neck, and then they took our dog away. And before he left, before he walked out, and he could have just gone, you know, but he didn't. He stood at the door looking at me with the look that I recognised as, disgust. It's the look I had when I looked at myself in the mirror. And he said something that I have never been able to shake. As I stood there with my brother, who was crying, you know, the mess that had been made, a baby in my arms that I was looking after, he looked at me and said, "This house is not fit for a dog to live in." And then they left with our dog. And I remember my brother crying. He was crying because Lady had gone, because it was like the only thing we had that was... My brother was crying. And I turned to him and said, "Lady's going to a place, to a family that can look after her properly." And all I could think of is, why aren't we? We're less important. Now, for a long time, this guy was on a list of people who I am going to track down and kneecap just as soon as I've watched a YouTube video on how to kneecap. He was on my list. But then I realised as I became an adult and started working that people are doing their highest and best, right? His job is to rescue animals who've been mistreated by adults. He has to see some awful things, and he's had to become hardened to it. He's had to wear blinkers and not get emotional because he's got to do his job, because he's got a wife and 3 kids at home. He can't be faffing around. Also, he's got his mate who is training up, and he's got paperwork that he has to hand in and check off that he's done it. So at some point, he started turning the volume down on empathy so he could just carry on and do his job. He was doing his highest and best, but he had forgotten there is always higher and better.